Welcome back to Undercover. We're here with the legendary Rick. What? I almost forgot your name then. For a second
I've got it in here.
You've got it written in your jacket.
It's
in his jacket lining, yeah.
Rock.
Rock. Yeah.
Rock Wakeman.
That's Rock Wakeman. That's it.
He said it, not me.
No, I didn't mean to say it.
Rick Wakeman.
I got
and
called
Ashley
that.
Holt.
I did get called that.
Rock Wakeman.
Yeah. I, hand on heart, got called that. Warner Brothers, my friends at Warner's in the UK, invited me to play in a golf tournament in Italy, and it was a big tournament. And I flew over there with them, and there's about 500 people around the first tee. And they had the announcer, who was a woman sitting at a desk, and she's going through all the teams. It's all Italians, we're the only English team there. And it came, said, team, whatever it is, numero 8, Warner Brothers, player uno, Mario Warner, Andy Capaocci. Along came Harry, full of applause. And they said, Signora Brian Berg, Director, Warner Brothers, Andy Capo, Vente. Musicista, rock group, yes. Rock a Wankman. Now, of course, the Italians didn't know, they just clapped, but of course, the other guy, the English guys, were all falling over on the floor. I marched over to the desk, all me golfing. I said, no, scusi, no. She went, scusi. Musicista, rock group, yes. Rick Wankman. So I tonked the ball in the lake and walked on.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
So.
Well, thanks ever so much. That's
But you are here actually playing music.
Yeah.
And not just golf, or possibly golf as well.
No golf this time round. Although I have played all the 7 royal courses in Australia.
Have you?
All 7.
There you go. You know how many I've played?
Go on.
0.
Really?
Yeah.
One up.
And do you know how many I've played?
Go on.
Actually, I can't play golf. So I haven't played any golf course anywhere.
You haven't got anything you can use yet, have you? Absolutely zilch.
Nothing. But hey, I've been looking at your DVD, recorded here in Melbourne in 1975.
Oh, yeah.
Because, I'm too young to remember those VHS thingamajiggers.
Oh, yeah.
You're not my love child, are you?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Maybe.
Just checking.
I don't know, there's kind of a resemblance there.
There's
Yeah.
Oh, God. You still haven't got anything you can use, have you? Okay.
The hair,
No, this is pure gold. This
the hair doesn't look anything like it.
Sorry?
The hair doesn't look the same.
No, that's true.
We've got nothing.
No.
We're both wearing a jacket.
Do you like cats?
I'm not a big fan, unless you're talking about the musical, which I'm also not a big fan.
No. Do you like Andrew Lloyd Webber?
Yeah.
I couldn't eat a whole one.
No. Son? Yeah, I tell you,
Son.
it was. I tell you, that was the best journey to the centre of the earth ever. It was fantastic that night. It was absolutely unbelievable, and I'm not just saying that. It really was an amazing night, and we didn't do that many journeys. I suppose in total, I think there's about 30 done all into, including Japan, Oz, New Zealand, UK, and America. It's about 30 in total, maybe 31, 32. And there's 2, apart from the original at the Festival Hall, that really stand out. And for me, and that was the Hollywood Bowl.
Yeah.
And Maya here in Melbourne.
Wow.
Those are the 2 that really stand out.
Obviously, the show has come a hell of a long way in the last 30 years.
Yeah.
Since you're not just doing the one album.
No, it was an amazing time doing that. I'd give my eye teeth to do it again. In fact, we are doing it again, fair enough, I say in Canada, in Quebec next year. We're doing Journey and the sequel, Return, we're doing them both there. Because it's just such great fun to do. It's such great fun to do. The trouble is, it hasn't been done since 75.
Yeah.
It hasn't been done since 1975. And it's really hard sometimes to try and explain to promoters or agents around now what it is, because they never saw it and it's 30 years ago, and they go, well, explain. We said, well, it's unless you've actually seen it, or we can show you what happens, well, you you won't get it, and they don't get it, so we don't do it.
Not fair enough.
But next year, as I said, what's really nice, we're doing it in Canada, so that should be good fun.
How different was it? Because I can only use my imagination, touring around in the 70s compared to now.
You better switch the cameras on.
We were good boys.
You guys must have had some legendary riders.
Yeah,
Yeah. I've actually found our rider not for the Journey tour, but we did a tour called the No Earthly Connection tour, and I kept it. It was actually, it's not strictly true. I didn't actually find it. A guy at Classic Pictures at Shepperton Studio, Robert Carafalo,
right.
he got hold of a copy, and it's the funniest thing. You may turn the camera around and see that it wasn't us. There it is. This is Jeremy. Have a look. This is Jeremy who didn't.
That was Jeremy who didn't switch his phone off.
Yeah, naughty.
What
Jeremy.
a silly banana!
Absolutely.
Do you think the other guys switched their phone off? Because now would be a good time to.
Yeah, mine's off. So I'm a good boy.
Well, there you go.
But actually, the battery's flat. It don't work. The rider.
Yeah.
And he showed it to me. It is the funniest thing. It's about 14 pages long. And the first 13 and a half pages are all alcohol related. It's something like 200 cans of this, 200 cans of that, 400 bottles of this, 100 and whatever bottles of wine, white, and we used to drink everything too. And there was a champagne, bottle of whiskey, bottle of brandy, bottle of two of this,
tequila,
2 of that, tequila, the whole thing with the salt, with the lemon, the whole thing, details with 2 shakers, a X amount of ice, the glasses. There was 7 in the band and about 12 in the crew. And we got through everything. We went through this whole thing. I'm howling with laughter because I remember, because we did be clear. And right at the bottom, it's got peanuts optional. I just thought it was priceless to read. It was a real ride. It was astonishing, wasn't it? Yeah, and we got through the lot too.
And the journey to America, the rider, it was exactly the same virtually.
Yeah.
Except there was some food at some point.
Was there?
Yeah, in the dressing room. Which you when the show was finished, you normally, we ended up throwing it around, I think.
Yeah, we throw it. It was
we didn't actually eat it.
No, it wasn't for eating, it was for throwing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And at making the album, they named the wine after us at the Chateau Hereville in France. When we did No Earthly Connection with that rider. We drank so much wine, they actually relabelled the wine and gave Rick his label on the bottle.
What happened was they used to come with bottles of wine every day for us at Chateau Hereville, which is the famous honky chateau, where Elton did his and it was great wine. We got
beautiful
shed loads of this stuff, and after about a month, the bottles arrived, and it was my name, Rick, and Earthly Connection. It's a beautiful sound, all appellation controller. And I said, that's really a nice thought. They said, no, it's normal. After a company has ordered 1,000 bottles, we give them their own label. And they said, you've been here a month and you've had just over 1,000 bottles. So we had our own label, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
There was often occasions where we never even checked in the hotel rooms, did we? Never even bothered to check in. And on a couple of occasions, I think on one of my birthdays, we went on a 48-hour binge. And never checked in at all. We ended up at wrong airports, all sorts of things. And we drank a plane dry, going to Tokyo.
Yeah.
In the days when they used to fill the planes up according to how many people were on board, this would be in the early 70s, mid-70s, and the flight used to stop at Anchorage on the way. And an hour out of Anchorage, we'd done everything. We did all the beer, all the spirits, we'd done all their sake, even the cooking sherry we'd done everything. It was at Japan Airlines, and the guy came and said, I said, no more. You are drunk everything. He said, but we are going to Lee Road.
I think he said, can't you land somewhere?
That's right, yeah. And
can you not put this down somewhere and, and get some more?
He said, when we go around at Anchorage, we can restock. So we landed at Anchorage, and Anchorage used to be, it's a big airport now, it used to be a tiny little airport, like you walked across the runway. I always remember the great big bear, bloody freezing. We went in the barn. We all got a skinful while we were waiting, all the band to go back. And we got on the plane, and they filled up the plane again. And when we about an hour into Tokyo, we were ordering more drinks. He said, "You've done it again. There's nothing left, all gone." And we got off. And the following day, we were staying at the Hilton Tokyo, at Tokyo Hill, and Mr. Udo, the promoter, came round. He said, "Oh, Lick, I want to have word with you, Lick." I said, "What is it, Mr. Udo?" He said, "Oh, Lick, you've been naughty boy." And I said, "What have I done?" He said, "You're on front page of newspaper." And I said, well, and he showed me, of course, it's all in like Japanese, all nip writing and things like that. I said, I can't read that, Mr. Udo. And he said, "Look, it says here, you're on your band, drunk, brain dry." And I said, "Yeah." He said, "Twice." And I said, "Yeah." I said, "Are we in trouble?"
He was appalled, wasn't
he said, "You're hooligans." And I said, "Are we in?"
"And you still riv?"
"Yeah."
"You still arrive?"
"Yeah, while you arrive, it's not possible."
Yeah.
And he said, I said, "Is it bad?" He said, "Oh, not all bad on yours." He said, "Japan Airline say you are very well behaved considering you have someone inside you and they want to sponsor the tour." And Japan Airlines sponsored the tour.
JAL.
One of the things actually I mentioned before, champagne on this, we never actually had champagne on this, and when we did the first half with the band on its own, and the second half was with the orchestra and choir and doing Journey to the Centre of the Earth, which was a little difficult with a Japanese choir. Because the conductor, after he'd rehearsed, he came back to us, David Measham, spent most of his life in Australia for half a day, he was sadly no longer with us. And David said, "When the choir sing, do not look at each other, do not look at the choir, do not look at me, just keep going somehow." I said, "Well, I heard the choir is very good." He said, "The choir is very good, Rick." He said, "But as you know, the Japanese have a little difficulty getting their tongue round their R's." I said, "Well, I thought it'd be a matter of practice myself." He said, no, in verbal terms, getting their tongue around their I said, "Right." He said, "Because their L's and R's are..." I said, "Got you." Now, there is a chorus in the middle of the battle, the song The Battle. Mm-hmm. Actually, he's sort of saying the 5 days out, and then the choir come in, and they came in. Unfortunately, the
original, the chorus of that is
crocodile teeth and lizard's head, bloodshot eye stained ocean red. Battle won, the victor's pride. 3 men turned as one and cried. In Japan it was crocodile teeth and a lizard's head. Bloodshot eye stained lizard red. Battle won and victor plied. The 3 men turned and one and cried. We just collapsed on the floor. It was just absolutely hilarious. But at the interval, after we'd done the original, before we went on stage, I went into there's a normal dressing room piled up with sake and whiskey, and there was a crate of champagne. 12 bottles of champagne. And I said to Funky Fat Fred was there,
yeah.
I said it was our tour manager, Funky Fat Fred. Worst tour manager in the world, but great fun to have around. He never got us anywhere.
He was funky though.
Yeah. He was funny, he was great. Yeah. Fred would say, "Right, we're leaving from Heathrow Airport at 8 o'clock in the morning, so we'll be ready at 6. Actually, we're going from Stansted, the flight's in the afternoon, and it's tomorrow." Right, that's what we're doing. Taking English. No. But Fred, I said, "Fred, we ordered the champagne, none of us drink champagne." And Fred said, "I don't know where it came from." And I said, "Oh, well, as long as we're not paying for it." He said, "No." So halfway in the interval, they had a bit of a problem because they had a long changeover getting the orchestra and everything on. So we decided to drink the champagne, might as well. So we knocked back the 12 bottles of champagne. What, there was 6 of us in the band?
Something like that.
Yeah, a couple of bottles each and something like that. Whacked it down in this 45-minute period and half. And we went on and did the second half, did Journey. And we came back in afterwards. We're all getting changed, and Funky Fat Fred came in. He said, "Here, there's some nip outside." I said, "We're in Japan, Fred. There's hundreds,
there's thousands, there's
millions of these nips." And he said, "No, these are quite important nips." And he gave me the card, and it was like the president of Japan Airlines. I went, "Oh wow." He said, "He's here with a whole nip entourage." He said, "Shall I let them in?" I said, "I think you'd better let them in." And this guy, they came in a sort of like a V shape called an order of preference, and then the translator moved forward, and the president of Japan, he went, "Oh," and we went, "Oh yeah, right, got that." And the translator said, whatever his name was, President of Japan Airlines, "I want to welcome you and say how much he enjoyed the show." And I said, "Well, thank the President very much," or President, whatever you like to call it, and we enjoyed it very much too. President of Japan Airline, and he said, "I want to know if you received the champagne he sent, because he would like to have a drink with you.
Oh dear.
And at that moment he looked round and there's the 12 empty bottles just all scattered over the floor, and he turned round to the judge and went, and in English, oh bloody hell, they done it again. And they all walked out, the place was going,
wild.
Yeah, it was
absolutely
good,
wild.
It was good fun. Yeah,
you know,
nuts it was.
Ashley, what's it like working with Rick?
An absolute nightmare from start to finish. No.
You stuck with him for 30 years.
Yeah.
Or more.
Thereabouts. Yeah, I think the word is challenge, and it's you have to be part mad as well, because he does throw some great curveballs at you on the music side. But if you can actually get to grips with that, you've actually achieved something really good, you know. Then you think, yeah, I'm not going to let this beat me, you know, because he's the type of guy that if you're getting to grips with the music, he'll change it. He can make it that, you know, he's that adept musically with his background that he can really roast you on the stuff. And
how much freedom do you get? At the risk of getting, serious and all.
At the risk of getting sacked. The risk of getting fired. Yeah, quite a lot, really. Rick sort of gets the skeleton together of the music and skeleton, yeah.
Good God.
Like a couple of bookends, huh? And we get quite a lot of freedom, as he doesn't, say this is written in stone.
To be fair, if you've got good guys around you, like the band we've got at the moment, the English Rock Ensemble, is a real good band. If you bring in intuitive bass players and guitar players and singers and drummers that have a distinct style of their own, what's the point in telling them how to play? You want them to bring what they've got to offer to the table as well. Bloody serious, this, isn't it? Yeah.
I bet they use this.
Sorry?
I bet they use this. This is serious. Yeah, serious.
Yeah.
Quick, tell a joke.
Yeah. So that's it. So I do give a friend. I mean, I love this man and his voice. We've been mates since 1966, when he first saw me in my school uniform.
Yeah.
And that's not the connotation you're thinking of.
How do you do? I'm trying to get my head around this.
Oh, sorry. How do I do that?
How do you do? Like going back to Six Wives. This was before I was even born, that album, but I do own it. So there you go. How do you do a musical? How do you do a musical interpretation of a story?
Gosh, I wish I could answer that for you. But being serious, it's almost hard to. You get things that I don't know, for want of a better word. You might read something, you might see something, and it sounds corny, but music starts coming into your head. Not everything you see, not everything you do, not everywhere you go, but every now and then something will happen and music starts coming into your head, and where it comes from, heaven only knows, and why it happens for some things and not for other things, I really can't tell you, because I don't know the answer. It's the true X factor, and if
you mean that TV show is not the true X Factor?
The X Factor, actually, the interesting thing, the X Factor, which was nicked by producers for TV programs, does not come from music or anything like that at all. It comes from comedians. It's a comedic term going back many years. And I'll give you a classic example. Tony Hancock searched for the X Factor. Tony, who died down here. It was. Why is it that certain comedians can walk on stage and before they've said a word, the audience are smiling or laughing? They can sometimes only have to say, "How are you then?" And people will start laughing. And there other comedians have to come on, and they can still be very funny and good and famous and well known, but they have to work at everything that they do. And comedians call that the X Factor. If you've got that thing, people like Tommy Cooper had the X Factor. Tony Hancock had the X Factor. Tony, who was an intense guy, and Eric Sykes is a great mate of mine, who spent lots of time down in Australia with the late Jimmy Edwards. Tony tried to find out what the X Factor was, and you can't find it. And a lot of people say that's what created almost his suicide, created his death, because it frustrated him. He didn't understand it. Why are people laughing? I haven't done anything yet. And so the X factor, that word actually comes from comedians, from the comedic side of things. So nothing, but you know, was nicked by some prat doing some dreadful program on the television.
Did you have the X factor whenever you're telling a joke?
Well, it's slightly different.
That's a serious question about it.
Yeah, well, to some extent, yeah, it's all about if people are expecting it. In England, because I go and I tell the anecdotes and I go on the TV and I do the things, because people know that I do the gag, well, not so much gags, but anecdotes and the things, because they're sort of tuned into that, they're ready to laugh. It's a little bit more difficult. I did the show in America, and I was actually saved by a review, because the first show, you know, people going, are we meant to laugh? What's these anecdotes? You know, but luckily I had a really good review, and the reviews were sent up the coast to the other places we were playing. So by the time that people were ready to laugh, they were tuned into what you were doing. And I think a lot of that from the musician side of things is being tuned in. X Factor's it's, I mean, I don't walk on stage and people laugh. Well, the flies are undone, they sort of do. Although there's more pity, laugh. Isn't it? Really?
Yeah,
there's more pity. They go, oh, that's a shame, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a shame, isn't it? There you go.
Look, yeah, 6'12".
Yeah. So, yeah. It's only that big.
Yeah.
It's no chance, really.
Terrible.
So if you call that the X Factor, really, I suppose, yeah. It's interesting telling stories, because stories have become like pieces of music. Comedians that tell gags, and if they go along and they tell people go, I've heard that. But Jasper Carrott, he says it's amazing with anecdotal stories. You can tell them time and time again, because people actually come back to hear them. He's got stories about the moles, and he's got the football club, Manchester United and Birmingham City, and he said, I stopped telling them. People complained, said, you didn't tell them more. He said, I've told it 10 times. He said, I know, we bought some mates to hear it. Like Monty Python go on the road and they do the same thing. Little Britain they go and they do the sketches. Yeah. So it's really funny. I tried to cut out a lot of the anecdotes, a lot of the stories, and bring in new ones. And people come and say, "Oh, you didn't tell the breathalyzer story. You didn't tell that." And we're open to hear that. I said, "Well, how many times have you heard it?" 8. You know,
like,
it's really weird. You know, it's like pieces of music. People come to hear the same pieces of music, which is just as well because we play the same pieces of music. In sometimes we do the same piece of music at the same time.
It would be pretty impressive if you could actually write a new song for every gig that you were going to do, or a whole set for every gig that you were going to do.
Yeah, but that'd be really interesting. Yeah. Impossible, but be very. No, it's not impossible. I suppose you could write a new song.
Wouldn't necessarily be good.
No, it probably wouldn't. Well, the trouble is I can't write to order. I can't sort of say, oh, next week I'm going to write. I can't do that. It's sort of writing comes spasmodically. You might go 6 months and not write anything, and then suddenly you have a whole spate of loads of ideas and things come. So it will be difficult to sort of say I'm going to write something new. I mean, you can always bluff something. I mean, you can do what I call bullshit, right? Which is anybody can do that. You just sit down and churn something out from the formulas and things that you know. But it doesn't necessarily mean it's any good. In fact, 9 times out of 10, it's crap. I always like to try and say something in the country I'm going to, like if I'm in France, a bit of French, but obviously I can't speak any Japanese, and you've got all those funny hieroglyphics. Can you write something out for me phonetically so I can say something? And he said, Mr. Lewis said, what's all? I said, just things like that this is, 6 was, and thank you, arigato, all this, just a few bits I can try and make it sound. He said, and I said, at the end, I want to say, thank you very much, obrigado. It's been great being here. I look forward to coming back again. No, I go, Giorgio Rifoil. So Giorgio wrote all these things, and I wrote it out. Did the show, and I'm doing a bit, Rick. And it came to the end, and I said, obrigado, whatever, and there's like almost a silence, and and I thought, obviously, the pronunciation's not too good. I thought I'd say it again. I went, we sort of walked off. Down there, and Mr. Udica said, Lick, naughty boy, Lick. And I said, what have I done, Mr. Udica? He said, you can't say that. And I said, all I said was, it's been great being here. I look forward to seeing you next year. He said, oh, you'll not say that. Giorgio! And Giorgio had to go on the stage. He made him go on, and Giorgio said something. There's a bit of laughter. And I said, what's going on? He said, oh, Giorgio, naughty boy. Giorgio, you'll not say that. I said, what did I say? He said, you say, God, in front row, have very nice tits. You want to pray with them.
And he got it in the
He
neck,
said, twice. And he made Giorgio go on and apologise, and humbly bow and apologise to the audience. Yeah, yeah. They weren't that big, actually, were they?
No.
The audience or the?
No, the Mamorai.
Colossus.
Yeah.
Weren't.
If there's anyone watching this interview from Japan, I apologise.
Oh, doesn't go out to Japan, does it? Actually, no, in all seriousness, no, we love going to Japan.
I rob you, Lick.
Oh, rub your leg.
I rob you, Lick.
Oh, hard. Oh, actually hot. Actually hot and a lick.
You are robbery, actually.
You pray like a big plick.
I think we're running out of time here.
It could be.
We still didn't get anything we can use.
You regret us coming in now, don't you?
Oh, it's horrible.
Son.
It's horrible. Dad. It's good to
for
see you again.
You up for a DNA?
Up for a DNA.
Is that rhyming slang for something?
We might as well clear this up once and for all.
Yeah.
You just don't want to buy me a house.
Oh no, it's only the female side of things I bought the houses
Oh,
for.
bugger.
Yeah. No, I don't. Don't do that.
Ah.
Oh, sorry, you meant bugger that I didn't buy you a house. So I thought you were. Yeah. There is absolutely nothing we can use at all here.
Especially on the Japan front.
Yes. But hey, it's the internet. You can say whatever you want. There you go. Anyway, guys, thanks for coming in.
Thank you. Cheers, mate. Thank you.
Son.
Oh.